Hi, my name is Sonia McSwain. I serve as the Director of Early Learning for Duval County Public Schools. Welcome to our Parent Academy training centered on one of my very favorite topics, transitioning students to kindergarten. If your student participated in any preschool programming this past year, they received really robust instruction around 8 key early learning and developmental standards. Our students had instruction centered on physical development, working with their fine and their gross motor skills. They learned various approaches to learning. They spent time working on their social and emotional development, working on everything from being able to follow rules to self regulating their own behavior and developing what we call the growth mindset. Knowing that if you persist and you practice and you try, if you can't do it right now, you will be able to do that. So we want to ensure that our babies never give up. We also spent time focusing on language and literacy, mathematical thinking, scientific inquiry, social studies, and being able to express themselves creatively through the arts. In pre K, students learn persistence, creativity, independence, rules and routines, how to identify their own emotions, how to solve problems, how to make friends, and how to follow directions. They also learned how to handle books, beginning reading and writing skills, how to count, pattern, measure, add sets, how to be a scientist by comparing, exploring, and investigating about families, jobs in our community, and our environment, and how to express ideas in creative ways such as through art, music, dance, and dramatic play. It looks like we have a really fun time in pre K and that we play all day, and we do. However, all of that play and learning is very intentional and it is all centered around early literacy, early math, and science skills. So, although we had a good time this past year playing and playing and playing, we definitely were focused on learning throughout all of those activities. One of the key things that happens during the first 30 days of the kindergarten year, your child is assessed to see if they are ready for kindergarten. The assessment is called FLKRS. We call it FLKRS, and it's an acronym for the Florida Kindergarten Readiness Screener. This assessment is given on a computer, and no assistance is provided by the teacher. The babies have approximately 26 questions that they answer on the assessment. And the assessment is what we call an adaptive assessment. So when your child is asked a question, if the question is answered correctly, the next question is going to be a question of higher complexity. If they get that question right, the next question is going to be of higher complexity. If the next question is answered incorrectly, the following question will then drop in complexity. And that back and forth happens until the child completes the assessment. Once the assessment is completed, the goal is for your child to get a scale score of 500. A scale score of 500 or greater is an indication that the child is ready for kindergarten. This is not a pass or a fail assessment. However, it provides the teacher and the school with some really key information about what types of skills your child may need some additional remediation in. And it would really help parents to get a sense of what types of questions the child would be asked. If you would like an opportunity to see a practice test of the actual assessment, please copy the web address in the third bullet of this slide. It is a fantastic opportunity for you to see the types of questions. You'll see one or two questions and you may look at them and say, wow, this is pretty tough. And again, that those types of questions are in that example because as I mentioned before, the assessment is adaptive. So when questions get a little higher in complexity, it affords the computer an opportunity to see what kids know and what they don't know to finally settle on a scale score. So take a look at that practice test if you get an opportunity. It's quite eye opening. When you take a look at that practice test at your leisure, you will see that there are some very key skills that your child would have learned in preschool that are assessed on that test. Children have to listen attentively to do well on the assessment. They can't be focused on anything else but that assessment. They have to listen very carefully. They have to be able to recognize, substitute, and manipulate sounds. They have to understand and have some basic sight word recognition. They do ask some questions about some key early math skills, including addition and subtraction. Students have to be able to follow multi-step directions. There are very few one-step directions in this assessment. They tell children to do a couple things before they're ever asked to answer the question. And finally, children have to be able to utilize a computer well. They're going to have to record their answer by either using the keyboard, a computer mouse, or a touch screen. So these are all some skills that parents can work with their children on throughout the summer to ensure that their babies are ready. So there are some things that can happen at home to also help reinforce some of those skills that we previously spoke about. So while you're preparing for a grocery run or while you're unpacking groceries, you can practice measuring the weight of different fruits and vegetables. You can read items off your grocery list and encourage your child to identify the beginning and the ending sound in each word. So if you pull out some apples, having the child to tell you what letter does apple begin with and what sound does it make, and then apples ends in what letter, what sound does it make. We also want to encourage our children to add items and take items away. So if you took those same apples and placed them in a bowl, I gave you 5 apples. Dad is going to take one. Now, how many do we have left? Those are some great activities to help your students reinforce those early learning skills. While you're walking in the neighborhood or driving in the car, practice environmental print by encouraging your babies to read and describe well known signs in your neighborhood, such as the McDonald's sign or the Walmart sign, or pointing out the fire station, the public library, the police department, asking the children who work there, what do they do, why are they important, are all key things to help our babies learn more about our community helpers. Finally, while they're preparing for bed, you can freeze some pantry items, some macaroni, some marshmallows, some rice, some dry peas in an ice cube tray. And once those items are frozen, place those frozen cubes in the bathtub during bath time to see which ingredients melt the fastest and have your children to make an hypothesis or an educated guess about which one, and then record down their responses. You can have your child to read a bedtime story to you using the beginning letters in each word or the picture for clues, and then read the story as the author intended the following day, and then compare and contrast the stories. You can also practice addition by combining how many pieces of clothing your child wears for bed as an addition sentence. So I have one pair of pajama pants and one pajama shirt. How many items do I have in all? So those are some great things that you can do at home to reinforce learning. There's this phenomenon in education we talk about all the time called summer slide. And it's that tendency for some of our students to lose some of the learning gains that they've made during the previous school year. I anticipate that that may be a reality anyway in light of the current pandemic, but we definitely can take advantage of some free online programs and supports to ensure that we narrow that gap as much as possible. So there are some great free online resources out there now. Books and Epic are online book libraries that have a ton of great library books for our babies to read. ABC Mouse is just a staple of really good activities in reading, math, and science that students can be engaged in. And the district is currently partnered with the Early Learning Coalition and then the Florida Institute of Education at UNF to develop what's called the Virtual Early Learning Highway. It is a website that is just chock full of daily activities and reading, math that will definitely help your child avoid summer learning loss. So after this pandemic, our babies have been locked down for a while, but it is still critically important that learning takes place. So we definitely want our babies to get out there this summer and have some safe fun, but we also want to ensure that we carve out a few minutes of every day during the summer to ensure that we prevent summer learning loss. So now we're on our way to grade K and we have to get our babies registered. So kindergarten registration is now open, and I'll spend a few seconds talking about the different steps that you must take. So step one, we ask you to find your home school. So please use the school locator at www.duvalschools.org/locator to find your child's attendance area school. Now, if you participated in the magnet or the special transfer option lottery, your child has already been assigned to a school. So this is a step that can be skipped if that is the case. The second step is to create your student's ID number. So if your student is new to Duval County Public Schools, you'll go online to www.duvalschools.org/enroll to create a student ID number. However, if your child attended a Duval County Public School as a Head Start or VPK student, if your child was a part of the Teen Parent Program, if your child received ESE services through Child Find, or if your child participated in the magnet or special transfer option lottery, your child currently has a student number and this step can be skipped. Step three, you want to complete registration with the child's assigned school. So once you create the student number, your child's school will send you an email confirmation that your child has been registered for kindergarten. Once you create that student number, they will do the rest. This may take a few days though. You're going to follow the email directions to create a parent account and request to be linked to your incoming kindergarten student. So when you're creating your student ID number, we want to ensure that you're using an email address that you check frequently, because an email will come from the school confirming registration and providing you with some additional steps to complete the process. To complete the process, they're going to need some documentation from you. One of those will be 2 proofs of residence. Parents must select one from column A and then an additional document from either column B or C. In column A, you can provide a JEA bill, mortgage or lease agreement, or a driver's license or state ID. So one of those items from this list must be presented to the school. And then a second item from one of the 2 lists here would be needed. So you can also provide auto insurance, credit card statement, bank statement. Please, if you use a bank statement, you want to ensure that the account number is blocked out. You want to either get confirmation from the post office about an address change, a payroll statement, a non-cellular phone bill, or vehicle registration. Either of those items can be used as a second form of proof of address. You also have to provide evidence of a current health exam form and an immunization certificate. Those must be presented at registration. And then just some final general information. In order for learning to be effective, we need students to be in school on time each day and stay the entire day. We ask that parents be very cognizant of that. Learning starts promptly at 8:30 if that's the time the school begins, and we learn from bell to bell. So we want to ensure that students are there on time and that they stay with us the entire day. Also be reminded that the schools typically will not release students during the last 45 minutes of the school day. So if you have to make doctor or dental appointments, you want to keep that in mind and plan accordingly. Also, during our school year, there are early dismissal days that are planned into the calendar, and those days are used for staff trainings and teacher planning that will enhance your child's learning experience. If your child is a bus rider, transportation will continue to be provided and they'll run the same routes. And if your child will be a car rider, we want to ensure that parents plan on arriving at the earlier time of pickup. So it's critical once the calendar is posted on the Duval County Public Schools website that's printed and those key dates are locked into your phones and circled and highlighted on the refrigerator so you're aware of when those early dismissal days will occur. We want parents to be our partners in this educational experience, and we encourage you to volunteer at your child's school. We need your talents, we need your skills. Please complete the background check, and you can get that information by visiting www.duvalschools.org. Click on Parents, scroll down to the Volunteer tab, and complete the application. Once school returns and field trips are reinstated, if you'd like to participate in field trips or visit the classroom and help the teacher with any activities, it's going to be critically important that this has already been done. So please ensure that you visit that website, take a look at the information, and sign up. You are ready, set, and all geared to go to kindergarten. The first day of school is anticipated to be August 10th, 2020. We look forward to seeing your baby at a Duval County Public School. If there are any questions after this presentation, please do not hesitate to send an email with your questions. Those questions can be directed to my department's mailbox. That mailbox address is as follows: dcpsec@duvalschools.org. Again, that's D as in dog, P as in Paul, C as in Charlie, S as in Sam, E as in Eric, C as in Charles, at duvalschools.org. Thank you for your time and attention, and have a fantastic day.